Hi, everyone. It's Lou with Let Loose with Lou. Today we have an amazing episode. My co host here with me today is Kathy. Hi,
Hi,
Kathy.
Lou.
How are you?
I'm good.
I'm really excited.
Yes,
This,
so am I.
yes.
So am I.
And Kathy represents.
Parents of Murdered Children, Los Angeles chapter, which is a support group that provides support to homicide survivors.
Yes. And we have three guests, as a matter of fact, and two individual families. We have Daniel and his brother was David, correct?
Yep.
And we have Eva and Sonia, and her son was Daniel.
Yes.
So we're gonna get a little bit of their stories, and we have a couple of pictures, I believe, right?
Yes, we do.
Solomon.
We do.
Alrighty. So we have here. We're gonna start off with Daniel. Would you mind the full name, Sonia?
It's Daniel Felipe Delgado.
Delgado, yes.
Yes.
And Sonia, thank you very much for being here, first of all. It takes a
Thank-
lot of courage to come up and, give your testimony and your story. Because it's really hard to have to remember and all over again.
Right.
But
Yeah.
we're in hopes that with this, people will hopefully share it, view it, maybe catch something that they could have recalled, and help get a little closer to your son's murder.
Right.
Yes. So how old was your son?
My son was 19 years old.
19.
Yeah, he was 8 days away from his 20th birthday.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
Yes.
Just a week away
A
from
week,
his birthday.
yeah, a week away.
And
Week away.
how did this all happen? Go about? What?
So on July 4th, we were having a family picnic for 4th of July.
Yes.
Yeah, he was excited because he purchased his own fireworks that year.
Mm-hmm.
So he was very excited. He's like, Mom, I bought all these fireworks. And so at the end of the night, after we all barbecue, he went and took a friend home. And when he was driving the friend home, somebody was following them. And he noticed that, somebody was following him. And he tried to avoid them, I guess. And somebody, shot at his car. And the one shot and hit him in the back of the head.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And this was 4 years ago?
It was July 5th. It's going to be 4 years ago.
Wow.
Right.
Yes.
And both of these cases that we're showcasing today are unsolved. And that's the whole reason for the episode is
Correct.
to bring awareness to these two cases and try to see if there's somebody out there that remembers something or saw something. And hopefully you'll come forward and try to help us get some resolution for this family.
Absolutely.
These families,
Yes.
Right.
So was your son automatically did he automatically pass cuz you said he was trying to veer the car?
Well, he was he didn't die they called the ambulance and he died at the hospital.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't die right then and there. But when I got that phone call that like us parents never want to get that phone call, and I got that phone call and his friend told me, oh, Danny got shot. So when he told me that, I'm like, oh, he probably got shot in the leg. Or, I didn't think it was something major, Honestly, they probably just, something small. And I never expected that. Honestly never expected my son to. I mean, he was a good kid. He was into soccer. He was a big soccer fan. And his favorite team was Real Madrid. And he was a good kid all his life. He was a good kid. He was never into gangs, never in, doing bad things. He was a good kid. And so the bullet hit him in the back of the head. The ambulance did revive him. I mean, he wasn't dead right at the. They did revive him, and he did die at the hospital. When we got to the hospital, I did notice we were in the lobby, and I noticed the doctor and the nurses taking everybody out of the room. I'm like, oh my God. I was telling my husband, I don't think this is good news. Like, I feel like something's not right, because it was during COVID too. So we weren't even allowed to go into the room and see him or, because it was COVID and they didn't even want to let us in the hospital. But they ended up letting us in the lobby, and then everybody was getting everything. I'm like, oh my god. The doctor's like, I'm sorry, your son didn't make it. I'm like, what? I'm like, can you repeat that? I'm sorry, your son didn't make it, and that was like
Oh my God.
the worst day of my life.
The
Yeah,
worst day of your
yeah,
life.
the worst day of my life.
I can honestly say that, and I've shared this with all the members of our group, I cannot imagine what it is to lose a child. I'm here because I lost a nephew and 3 cousins, but not because of a child. And that has got to be the worst of all.
Yeah.
I know watching my brother and my sister-in-law, what they went through, and I feel your pain. And it's funny that you said that when you heard that he got shot, Marcy said this in the episode last week. Your first thought, okay, he got shot in the leg, he got shot in the arm. And I remember thinking the same thing when we got the call about my nephew. Your first instinct is, okay, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You never think it's going to be fatal.
Fatal.
You just don't think that. Your hopes are out there.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Just,
Yeah,
yeah.
I never expected, I never expected that. My son didn't deserve to die that way. He was a good kid. And honestly, we want justice, and we want, the
As you
responsible person, to get caught. And the moment that he passed away, I mean, part of me died with him, because
Absolutely.
my life is, it's very hard without him,
Is this your only child?
I have another son. He's name's Anthony. He's 26 years old, and he's my oldest. And he just got married last year, so that was good.
Congratulations.
Yeah, but the first, life is difficult. But what got me, I'm still going through, the roller coaster, the emotions. But
Correct.
it's life's, it got a little easier, but it's still very, very hard.
Now, the friend that was with your son,
Mhm.
do you still stay in contact with him?
We do. We stay in contact with him. He was his best friend since preschool.
Oh,
So I feel, his name is Mikey. Mikey was with him, and Nathan. Nathan was in the backseat, but Mikey was his best friend, and he's.
So, did they give you any indication why this might have happened? Was the cars cut off? Was it road rage? What color was the car?
yeah.
Any
Where was it? Where
where
did it occur?
Where it
And
happened was on Pacific Coast Highway
Mhm.
and Blinn. He
blend?
made a right turn on. He was on Blinn. Made a right turn onto Pacific Coast Highway. And that's when he noticed that somebody was following him. So he made a quick left towards Drum, and that's when they shot towards the car. Yeah,
Oh God!
yeah.
Did he have any idea what color the car was?
It was like a 2015 Charger. Was that kind of
A Dodge?
a Dodge Charger? Yeah,
Charger. Was
but
it
like a black Dodge Charger. Yeah,
so it was black?
yeah, black
The
and
dark.
so this
or
was
dark
on
color.
4th of July.
Yeah, it was 4th of July. It was 4th of July, maybe about going into 5th of July on the like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
He was
Okay.
taking his friend home.
Okay.
Yeah, so
And at 1 o'clock in the
yeah,
morning.
so Pacific Coast Highway is a big street. So I know somebody must have seen something.
Had
And,
to have seen. And there's
Yeah.
cameras there as
Yeah.
And then
well.
on 4th of July, there was more people out at
Right.
that time, probably. So maybe all the festivities were over and they were driving home by that time. Somebody probably saw something, and we're just going to hope that they come forward.
Right.
Was there any what are the landmarks in that area?
Landmarks. The bridge going up to going over
To Long Beach.
Alameda.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay.
yeah.
By the McDonald's in that area or
Farther down.
Yeah, farther down.
Farther
Okay.
down.
The first bridge, not the one closer to Long Beach. It was crossing towards Long Beach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or the refineries. The refineries are right
Yes.
there.
Yes.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
refineries.
Where the refineries.
Yeah.
So
Where the junkyard is at, all those areas.
Yeah.
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 And so they have you spoken to a detective about any type of leads or
At this point, yeah, we don't have any more leads.
And I
Just no more leads at this point.
and
Yeah.
and we do see that you have a reward up for his anyone with any information. And if anyone has any information, they could also call Crime Stoppers, right?
Right. Crime Stoppers is an
Mhm.
organization that's all over the country. The thing about Crime Stoppers is you can call in anonymously. They don't record your phone number. They don't record anything about anything you say. So they can't track back to try to find you and say, hey, will you testify? It is completely anonymous. If you want to call and say, I saw this, this is who it is, or whatever, and you'll never be contacted by anybody if you call the number that we're going to give you later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, so hopefully someone can reach out. And were they able to see who the person was, or
No, it was a dark charger, so they couldn't see.
Mhm.
And I mean, they did a segment on him on NBC,
Mhm.
like maybe about a year ago, and we finally seen the footage of the cars following him.
LAPD South Bureau homicide detectives say someone else had other plans.
Suspect's vehicle ends up turning this way, and our victim continues.
So they cut off here.
LAPD detective Gabriela Saucedo says surveillance video shows what Daniel's surviving friends had told police. Someone was following them that night.
When they get here, they hear a sound like fireworks, and they don't know what's happening. All they know is this car's behind them, and they continue driving northbound.
Crime scene photos released for the first time show the single bullet hole that pierced the back window of Daniel's Honda Accord. The bullet would travel through the driver's seat and hit Daniel in the head.
And I'm also sorry because you did state that you lost your husband as well. So
I
that
did.
must
Yeah.
be very hard for you.
Yes, my life right now, it's a little
Mhm.
hard. And I mean, just take it one day at a time, even sometimes 1 minute at a time, because grieve. I mean, grieving is the part of my life for the rest of my life. Because I mean, they're always gonna be in my heart.
Absolutely.
And
Yes, yes. And this is your mom, Eva?
yes, it's my mom, Eva.
Eva.
Mm.
Oye, señora, ¿puedo preguntar una pregunta? ¿Cómo se ha sentido desde que pasó este fatal
Accidente.
accidente con su, it's her grandson, right?
Yes.
Pues muy mal, muy triste, porque pues
Mm.
eso van a ser 4 años y
Ay, ay, ay.
no saber ni quién, ni por qué, ni nada.
Ujú.
Lo más triste.
Es lo más duro.
Ujú. Cada día los extraña uno más.
And no mother, let alone grandmother, expects to bury their grandchildren.
Well, my mom was
know?
like a second mom to them because she helped me raise them. We always lived with them, and she was like their mom also too. She was there for them. She particularly raised them too,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
my two sons. So she was like the mom to them. Yeah.
Right.
So she's hurting as bad as I'm hurting.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Yes.
I remember when my nephew died, my mom was almost 70 something, and she just kept saying, Anthony was only 18. Why didn't God take me? I've lived my life. I've raised my children. I've seen most of my grandchildren. Why not me? And I'm sure that's how, you know, your mom must feel, you know. Same thing as a mother. It's like, why my children?
Absolutely.
But
It's just, I can't even fathom the thought. Yeah. It's
and
hard.
I just want to add here that for both of these families, for Daniel's family and for Sonia's, I use this word a lot. It's being re-victimized.
Mhm.
Every single day that goes by, you're re-victimized because somebody out there is living their life. They're sitting down at dinner, they're enjoying their children, they're going places like as if they didn't commit murder, you know, and somebody needs to be held accountable. It's nobody's right to murder anybody, and they're walking the streets. And until as hard as I know, because I sit in trials all the time, as hard as it is to sit in those, I see the families afterwards. They get answers to why and who and what. as hard as it is, but you get those answers, and then you get some kind of you're never gonna have closure, but at least you know now the trial's behind you, and you can kinda move on.
Right.
But right now, in your head, I know that families share with me, it's like, who and why and who it's torturous for you guys,
Yeah,
I
why would
know.
anybody just think it's the right thing to do, go and kill somebody, you know?
Right.
I mean, they have a
And not to
what
mention,
yeah,
have they done it again
right.
and again, you know? So, yeah.
Well, hopefully, were you able to send
Yes, I
that?
did. I sent
Okay.
it.
Were you able to get that, Solomon?
It doesn't exactly work like
Oh,
that.
okay, no worries. We'll put
I
up
can.
afterwards, no worries. I was just that way we could put up a little bit of the video, so if anybody recalls or sees or was in the area, they get a little bit of an image. That would be great.
Right,
Great.
right.
And so, okay, we have now, I mean, I got to go back to my notes because there's a lot of Daniels
We
and
have
David.
Daniel.
Daniel, how are you, Daniel?
We
Good.
have Daniel here who, lost his brother 9 years ago, and,
Longer than that.
it's been
July
long.
9th, 2012.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, that's him. July 9th, 2012. He was killed over a girl in a way. It was the ex boyfriend. Not that my brother was the new boyfriend. This girl, I remember she showed up one time when they were talking. I did not like her at all. She was not a. She showed up with bruises from her ex boyfriend, and I actually kicked her in the rear end to leave because she was just doing that to get my brother to do something, and
Hmm. You knew her
no,
intentions.
well, of course, and she just I couldn't stand her, but it's not about her. Anyways, July 9th, 2012, he was actually going to go meet the ex boyfriend. He called him from 818 number, and really wish the cops would have pinged that cell phone trace because that would have told them that he wasn't where he said he was with her. But it
Hmm.
is what it is. And anyways, on the corner of 223rd
Mhm.
and uh, Figueroa,
Mhm.
he shot him. He ran up to the car and shot him across the street from Stephen M. White School.
Mhm.
It's a middle school,
Mhm.
and shot him in the car. And then my brother's white Dakota, it was probably like a 92 or so.
Mhm.
Just he laid over the steering wheel, and it just made its way down south on Figueroa, hitting the Kirk median on the way down real slow, and then it came to a rest. And on 228th, there's a gas station right there, and such. Anyways, little trailer park. So after he shot him, he ran off and was picked up by someone. So it was all like pretty much planned.
Mm.
And then after that, I had run into her at a bar in San Pedro. She's not from San Pedro, and neither of these people, they're from Carson. And when I saw her there, I made her leave because there's no reason for her to be around there.
Mhm.
I knew right away what it was. It didn't take long, maybe like a day to figure it out. And uh, there was some more twist to it when I figured out who it was. About a day, I went, and she was actually at my mom's house
Mm.
and playing a part of a concerned person. And I made her leave there too, which s- my mom is an amazingly loving. She is what everyone wishes their mother could be to us.
Mm.
She is there to drop of a hat for my children. She is the turning. She is the gear that makes the machine turn. Me and the girl's mom are separated, and she helps the situation for her as well as I. Point being, with that comes a great deal of beautiful, naive
Mm.
life,
Mhm.
which sort of drew a little fork between us for a while. But the I did what had to be done to separate her from her, separate my mom from this person, and get hang with them out there as long as I could to keep her naiveness at check while. And anyways, so he was called to meet them, and then she shot him, and we had
And
after
this
that.
was at 10:30 in the morning?
This was in 10:30.
Broad daylight.
Yeah, it was broad daylight.
Wow.
10:30 sounds about right. You probably know better than I.
Mhm.
And so then after I had made her leave that place, the next time I saw them, they came in full force down there, and he's a very small individual, um, and he came with a van load of a neighborhood, and things didn't go the way they planned because I didn't know her very well, and she knew me as a younger brother that was doing his own thing,
Mhm.
and um, it just didn't go the way they planned, and it was that was that, and
So this
that
happened on what day?
uh, what the standoff?
No, July
July 9th, 2012.
July 9th,
It's
2012 on
on
223rd
223rd
and
and
Figueroa.
Figueroa. That's where he was shot. There's a big gas station right there. It's right off the freeway. There's tons of houses right there, and then going down the median right there. It's impossible that someone didn't see anything. But I'm gonna get to that in a second because you know I do not forgive him, but I am okay because he is in prison. There is nothing that this guy could do about his mentality to change the fact that if this stint doesn't last him for life,
Mhm.
he will not be out long before it does.
Mhm.
It's just what he's meant to be. It's what he's bred to be. And if that's his taste of pie, have at it, brother. I like it out here. I like buying properties. I like building something for my daughters. I like having another son. I like grabbing life by the balls financially and setting them up and leading them down the right road. He can't do that. It's not in him. So I'm okay. I'm okay. Because if that's what you want, that's what you want. I like women. I like life.
Yeah.
Um,
And he's thrown his away.
and
He's
he's
thrown
throwing it
his
away day by
away.
day. I mean,
Yeah.
he shot her in the leg. He shot that girl in the leg afterwards
Yeah.
and led them in a little Carson Sheriff's in a little speed chase. So
But it
back,
still would be nice to
yeah,
hold him accountable for
it would.
David's murder and have your day in court with him, right?
It absolutely would. And if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to lose one more night of sleep over that,
Exactly.
over that aspect.
Yeah.
He's on a level 4 yard, stressed out.
Yeah.
Politics. You're a little guy. There's no guns in there. You're stressed and whatever, brother. You got street cred. More power to you. You also, you're also in a very ugly spot. So about my brother. Now enough about him. He, so we all make choices. I was told you I was going to say this, and I talked this over with my mom before mentioning this because you know, at eulogies and such, we speak the best of people, and that's well deserved. My brother was a great guy. He could build a house. He helped me. He helped me build my El Camino. He built my mom's fences. He built my cousin's fences. I mean, he was really really handy and taught me a lot of things. Like taught me how to ride a bike, and then he went to Boy Scouts and he made it to the light of the arrow of light, I believe it's called. I made it only to like Weeblo or something. But anyways, and he went to the army, and so then he had made so we all have choices as adults. There's consequences, and I think that word has a negative stigma because we always think negative with consequences, but there's not. There's good.
Sometimes they're good.
I chose to come here, and the consequence could be someone calls or free yourself. Negative consequences. Well, we make choices. He had made a choice or two that did land him to spend time in a penitentiary for a while. Now, as we all know, it's meant to punish, and it's political, and it's ignorant, and it's stressed upon them. So, what do we do from the consequences of our choices? That defines us. Are you going to learn? Are you going to do it again? Good and bad. Well, when he got sent there, he chose that place to get his bachelor's degree through Ohio University.
Wow.
Wow.
They have an inmate program for inmates. I couldn't even imagine the headaches he had to hear on his left and his right as homeboy does this guy's hair and this guy's getting tatted and spend time on that.
Mhm.
And then to have to confront that person, not all the choices that go around, as opposed to going to the study hall, as opposed to going to dorm room, as opposed to going home. But he was solid and he got his. I don't have my.
bachelor's.
I have my AA, not my bachelor's. He didn't have one tattoo. I have not the tattoos, whatever. But I mean, he had no tattoos, and he was a beast. And then when he got out, he was supposed to start. He got accepted and was supposed to start the engineering program at Cal State LA.
Wow.
And God had other plans and such. But yeah,
It looks like there's a lot of pain that you
well,
have there.
Yes.
there is. There has to be. But over time, it's been a while, and it's not that I've forgotten. It's that I've had a different view of my justice in it. Is that his life? It's not good. That guy, the justice for me is knowing that. I mean, everything that he says in a conversation is probably so ignorant and just useless. I talk about like mortgage rates and what are you gonna do this weekend? I'm working on a pop up. I'm rebuilding my pop up tent trailer to take this summer. We're going to on our annual vacation. I rebuilt my fireplace.
Mhm.
I'm always like thinking
So you
about
keep yourself
Positive
busy.
things to
Yes.
do
yeah,
with
and
your
you know what, you
life.
brother, you worry about lunch and you worry about
Yeah.
the silent. Go ahead, brother,
Yeah.
rock
So
on.
you haven't had any type of altercation,
Altercations,
yes,
not in many years.
altercations or
I've seen certain individuals certain times,
Mhm.
and you know, I don't go to certain areas. I don't have to, and I don't. And
Right.
I'm not saying they don't come to mind. I don't run. I don't run forces.
Right.
yes.
But they do feel odd when they leave there's a little circle. They do, and for good reason. They stick out, not amongst themselves,
Mhm.
but you put them at the Del Mall. He's gonna feel weird because it is
Mhm.
Right.
because you are. You're not
You were
on the
speak
norm of society.
you were speaking of consequences, and I shared in my story when Lou did this that I was knee deep in my alcoholism when Anthony got murdered. Knee deep, and a year after Anthony getting murdered, he was the little angel on my shoulder, telling me, "What are you doing?" Um, I remember thinking to myself, Anthony's life was ripped out of his hands, and here I was throwing mine away.
Right.
And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't honor my nephew and continue to drink. And that's what it's allowed me. And June 1st,
Mhm.
I celebrated 35 years.
Wow, you.
So, but I mean, that's not
Congratulations.
just saying that consequences and choices that we make don't always have to be bad. They
Of
can
course
be
not.
good. And unfortunately, losing Anthony is the one that changed my life around. But in order to honor him, I do what I do today. And Daniel,
Yeah,
good kid, didn't deserve it.
right.
David turned his life around, had a little stint, but came out, turned his life around. Not giving them any more time in your head. I had to forgive, and not everybody can do this. I had to forgive the guy that killed my nephew for my own sanity,
Right.
so that I didn't have to have him in my head all the time.
Mhm.
You're in prison, you're going to do 30 something years. And I just got to let it go so I could live my life, right?
Right.
And grieving is different for everybody. You're going to grieve in different ways, and you're going to grieve in a different ways. And we all just, but I still believe, and that's why this program, everybody should be held accountable, though.
Right.
Nobody has the right to murder anybody. And, I think everybody should stand trial for the murdering of somebody, and I hope that both of you get that day in court, you know.
Has there been any kind of leads at all for your brother?
Well, I mean, they got as far as they could with it.
Mhm.
She was covering for him, and
Mm.
they couldn't prove that he was there. They said they're going to test cigarettes in the car one time for his DNA. I was like, oh my God, yes, this guy did not put his cigarette butt.
Mhm.
And they don't,
But you
we
never
don't put
know.
you never know. I was just thinking, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You're putting your cigarette butt, you're going to test this. Who puts their cigarette butts out in ashtrays?
Yeah.
It's like not 1920. You're using the wrong, and then I would lead them other ways and try and help them.
Yeah.
But anyways, they did their best, and if they can't prove it, they can't prove it. I don't know what else to say, but yeah, if someone's out there is a reward. I don't have the paperwork like that, but it's still there.
There is a
Yeah.
reward.
And I mean, the way that would crumble, I would say, is the most likely is his close circle. No, the ones that know, they're going to be facing a lot of time. It's inevitable. It's in
Yeah.
their life every day.
But even with that, in this gangster world, you know, a lot of times it'll be like, hey, I'll make a deal.
That's my point. That's where I
I'll
was
make
going.
a deal.
That's where it's going.
Do you know what I'm saying?
It's only a matter of
Let's
time.
make a deal here. If you'll reduce my time,
course.
I'll tell you this. So you never want to give up hope, because
Oh, that's it.
people get divorced and then they want to talk. They hate each other. And people going to do a long time and then they want to talk because they want to make a deal.
That's
So you
it.
know
That's where it
what?
would
We're not
come.
going to give up hope. That guy will be accountable for David's murder.
Yes,
you
let's
know?
hope that somebody somewhere out there has something, or there has to be. I mean, hopefully there's some kind of information. I mean, both of these places that it happened are places that are big. PCH, Figueroa. I mean, you have huge landmarks there. Somebody, you know, these businesses, they have running cameras 24/7.
Actually, there's a gas station there, and they said it has good cameras all over the place. And I mean,
Yeah.
why couldn't
It
they
just
get
wasn't pointed the right way, or it got erased, or there's always some complication,
yeah,
you know.
always.
Or
Yeah.
it wasn't clear enough, it was dark, or I know. It's hard. It's hard. But we're not going to give up. I'm going to share real quick.
Yes.
37 years later, actually, my cousin just married him. He was married. He was 19 years old. Him and his wife got in a little argument, and she decided to go for a walk to her sister's house, and she never came back. They found her in Malaga Cove.
Oh,
She was
no.
7 months pregnant, and they murdered her and the baby, raped and murdered her.
Oh,
37 years later, they called my cousin's husband, and he walked around for 37 years with always that stigma. The husband probably did it. The husband probably did it. He always felt that people looked at him that way. But 37 years, LAPD called him and said, we got him. We're going to go arrest him. He lived in San Pedro. He had a bunch of kids and grandkids and thought he got away with it. And
see?
guess what?
So there is hope.
There's always hope.
There's always going to be hope. And there has to be some leads somehow, some way. Like you said, they could have a dispute and then say, you know what? All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
You know, I know something that's going to, you know. And then hopefully there, you know, that someone has to come forward. You wanted to say
Yes.
something?
One thing that does help me a lot. So the day after it happened, I was asleep on my balcony by Cabrillo Beach. I had like this penthouse balcony, and a big hawk came, and I never even noticed this wire. Must have been as close as you are to me, and was just staring at me. He came back every day for 7 days and just stared at me.
Wow.
And I see them. It's a known thing to my family. I'll take pictures every Christmas, or when I'm doing really good, or possibly when I'm doing very bad. As a man, as an adult, addiction, just discipline in general. I'll see a hawk. It's a thing. It is a thing. And my daughter is very in touch with him. I'm Christian. She writes about him in her stuff at school. There's 4 rules that I teach my daughters. It's something I came up with. Rule number 1 is to be as honest as possible. You'll never be in a situation you can't handle. Rule number 2 is yes, please, no, thank you every time. Rule number 3 is to mind your own business, 100%. And the 4th one is what relevates. The 4th one I tell them will make sense when they get older. It's if you walk into a room and you feel like you should shake someone's hand, reach out and shake it first. Because if you don't, you probably won't get what you went there for, and they're going to remember it. She writes about him. She never met him, but she writes about him in poems, and the last poems went something along the lines of, my Tio Dave was a very good man. He always shook the hand. So he's around
The
like my kids
legacy.
all the time.
Legacy.
He's like there with them a lot.
Yes.
You know, the hawk. I don't know
They
if you guys
have a
have
legacy.
those kinds of things, but they happen a lot to me.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you have a
Too much.
situation
A
like
little
that
too
that
much.
pops up for
Yeah, I
you?
see a lot of burns.
You'll
Or
see
little
birds.
things that happen, and I'm like, okay, Danny's with me.
Danny's with
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
I feel him.
Yeah.
He's with me
Me
all the
too.
time. Yeah.
It's beautiful when you do feel those,
Hmm.
those what is it, sentiments, or
Yeah. Or
when I mean, I don't want to seem weird, but when you were talking about your son, like I felt a shadow right here,
Mhm.
and I right away was like, oh, this must be your son because he was tall and thin. And okay, so then it
Really
was
tall.
okay. So because I was like, if you notice, I was like kind of looking over this way, and I was like, why do I feel like there's somebody there? And for a minute, I thought you stood up. So I was like, my eyes were turning over here. So then it must have been your son that
they're
came to
with
visit.
us.
Yes,
And I
yes.
and I think, I
Oh,
don't know if we're all
yes.
Christians, and everybody has their different faiths and how they believe, and my group, I have multiple, and however you grieve and however you believe, but I just know that I believe that Anthony's telling me, don't sweat it. Help who you can help, do what you can do, but it's nice up here.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's still not easy.
It's not.
Like in my case, when I told Jerry that I forgave him, I also told him, I don't care if I'm in a wheelchair. I don't care if I'm crawling on my arms and legs. I'm going to try to keep you in prison as long as I can keep you in prison. And I did 6 parole hearings, and they're not easy to go to. We went all over Southern California. But sure, I forgave him, but I still felt he didn't have a right to come out in this world and live his life. He's
Absolutely.
out now. He got out at 50 years old. He can have a family. He can get married. There's nothing I can do. It's in God's hands now. But I tried. You know what? I felt I had to try. And that's all we could do. The rest is in God's hands. But I believe they're with us.
Well, one day, I always told my husband, like, if you ever die before me or something, and you're with Danny, come back and do something, like turn off the lights or do something to let me know that you're with Danny. And
Yeah.
me and my dad were in the in the garage, and I had just put a picture of Danny like maybe 2 weeks before, and there's no way that picture could have fallen, and the picture falls. I go, there goes my sign. They're together.
They're together.
They're together.
Yeah.
That must be beautiful.
Yeah.
How does your mom feel about all this? How has she been through this time?
Well, now that I have kids, I mean, she's made of nails, really.
Mhm.
She's I would describe my mom like recently. She's kind of like a star. Sounds silly, but at the Gorilla Touch Tank, you see the big starfish that look fuzzy and soft, but when you touch them, they're real hard. That's kind of her.
Oh.
She's
Do you know when I
she's
met
cute.
Demi, they came to us about 9 years ago in Parents of Murdered Children, and she came quite regularly to our meetings on Saturday. And then he had his baby, and she didn't come. She didn't come, and I'm like, oh, is she okay? And she said to me, Kathy, Monday through Friday, I struggle. First of all, I got to get up and go to work, and I come home and I think about David. But on Saturday, I have some joy again.
Yeah.
I have some happiness in my life. And she got to spend time with your baby every Saturday. And I said,
Oh,
don't sweat about coming to us. We'll be here. And, here we are. We're still in touch with each other. But,
Absolutely.
that little bit of
It
joy
helps.
and,
It helps
yeah.
because you need a little bit of that in your life,
Yeah.
especially when you're going through some hard times. And I don't think that it's ever gets any easier.
I don't think
Ever.
so. Yeah.
It doesn't.
Well, for us, like every year, his anniversary is coming up on July 5th. So for his anniversary, all the family gets together and we go to the cemetery and we do a mass for him. And then on his birthday's a week later, so we do like if he was still celebrating his birthday. We have a barbecue and we go to the cemetery and sing to him, and
Yeah.
like he's still here and because he's still with us
He
forever.
is.
He's always
He
been.
is. He is. That's what I felt earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really did. And that's was kind of strange for me because it doesn't happen to me just every time, but
No.
it's happened a lot. Well,
You might have that sixth sense that I don't have, but
no,
yeah.
yeah, I do. As a matter of fact, we're gonna do an episode on all that of all the things that have. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's good, but yeah, it's hopefully something that somebody, please, anybody out there, if you know anything for her son, on PCH. Once again, can we show some pictures of and were you able to you were able to
Yeah, I
send him
just sent
that,
it to
yeah.
him.
So hopefully we'll be able to post that at the end.
Okay.
That's for Daniel right there. If anybody knows anything, Daniel was driving. What was Daniel
He was
driving?
driving a 2013 Burgundy Honda Accord.
He was driving a four-door,
Yeah,
two-door,
four-door
a four-door.
Honda
Okay.
Accord.
And the car that shot at him was
A 2015 dark Dodge Charger.
Dodge Charger.
Yeah.
and
And this happened on July 5th about 1 o'clock
1
in the
o'clock in the morning.
1 in the morning
Yes.
on PCH,
On PCH and Blinn,
and
and he was
Blinn.
making a left. He made a right on PCH and a quick left on Drum.
Okay.
Yeah.
And quick
Okay.
left on Drum. If anybody has any information, please reach out. You could also call Crime Stoppers and give the information there with anonymously,
Right.
correct?
Exactly. Exactly. And you'll never be contacted by them. They'll just take your information and give it to law enforcement, but you won't be contacted by Crime Stoppers or law enforcement. It's all anonymous.
Yes.
Yeah. So don't be afraid.
And then for your brother as well, he was driving. What was your brother driving?
He was driving his white 91, 92 Dodge uh, Dakota. It's a small pickup truck that they have, a white one on the corner of 223rd and Figueroa, in front of Stephen M. White Middle School. The guy ran up and shot him inside the car, and then his car drove down the road southbound, come to a rest at 228th and Figueroa, where there's a gas station and a 7-Eleven across the street, and there's a little trailer park right there. Yeah, if
What was the person driving?
they got picked up by another car that was waiting for them in a neighborhood that it's car that we don't know, but he was picked up. There was a car waiting. It was set up.
Do you know what kind of car picked him up?
No,
Nobody
no,
knows.
no. They said the dog lost the scent. No. Kind of when I knew who it was, I was satisfied with the car. But I wish, I had more information like that. Like you guys know who you are, so yeah. If you get a lot of time and you don't want a lot of time,
Yeah.
get your reward and
There is a
your
reward
life,
for
brother.
David's murder as well
There-
in Carson Sheriff's. So
Thank you.
if you don't want to call Crime Stoppers, you can always contact Carson Sheriff's, and there's a reward there.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for taking the reins on that.
Yeah, I
drifted
just
there a
thought
little
about
bit.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, exactly.
exactly what
Can't
we're here
remember
for.
everything.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to disclose or share that could help?
No, I
Your
just,
case?
somebody knows something, say something, there's the reward. You can, there's somebody has to know something. Somebody just,
Yeah.
we want justice for Danny, and Danny deserves that.
Right.
We deserve that.
Yes.
You do.
You do.
And
You do.
actually, at the time, he met this girl. He was tutoring students at Harbor College in math. He was really good at math.
Aw.
That's where the engineering thing
Mm-hmm.
comes. So, if any of you guys recognize him from him tutoring you and such, yeah, you know what, he was a good guy. And yeah, if you know anything, or it's pretty close, I don't know.
Mhm.
But yeah, he was doing
Yeah.
really well at that.
Yes.
He was all popular there.
Yeah. These are two really good families, and they deserve. I've tried to get away from the word in some ways justice, because you can't bring Daniel
Mm.
back and you can't
Right.
bring David back, so you're really not going to get justice. But I have been trying to move over to accountable.
Right.
Yes.
Somebody has to be held accountable.
Accountable.
We are supposed to be living in a civilized society, and we don't go around shooting people, and you need to be held accountable for it. And,
Right.
my organization, LA chapter, I've been focused on it for about a year now, the unsolved. Unfortunately, there are, just statistically wise, there are 10,000 unsolved murders
Wow.
in Los Angeles County alone. And unfortunately, all law enforcement in LA County, um, I just like anything, there's good detectives and there's bad detectives, but I think there's more good than there are bad. And I have to say that they are overworked and understaffed and underfunded.
They sure are.
I
Right.
hear that all the time, and I know it's hard for them to work on it. And we're working on different things and different ideas to try to bring, there's even some legislation out there to try to bring retired detectives back to work on the cold cases because they
That's a
don't
good
have enough
idea.
people working
Like volunteering,
now.
maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, yeah, or to pay them for
Yeah.
like 6 months to work on a case
Oh,
and fresh
nice.
eyes and whatever. There's some legislation that's getting through, Assembly Member Mike Gibson's working on it. So, there's workarounds and there's ideas being tossed around by law enforcement. I do know that talking to law enforcement, none of them were opposed to the bill. They just weren't sure how they could make it happen when they don't have enough people or enough money, you know? Uh, One thing, for example, there's cases that can be solved with familial DNA and genealogy. Those run about $37,000 a piece,
Oh, wow.
right? So funding and things. So we're looking at it both at the local level and our national level. Parents of Murdered Children. We started a cold case unsolved committee, and we're looking for resources to help the police departments and families help you. So, for
That's a good
example, we
idea.
want you guys to register with Cold Case Foundation, um, Crime Stoppers, Cold Case Project. There's other ones. I'm just getting ready to do an email to the families with the links for you guys to register. You can upload your family's picture, little blurb about what happened and who to contact. And the same thing on our website. I've put the pictures on our website and stuff, and a little bit of story and the rewards and stuff. So, I just felt it on my heart this last year or so. Out of the 300 families that I have, a third of them are unsolved. That's unacceptable. 103 of them out of 300 families. That's just not acceptable to me. So I felt like I needed to put a little bit more of my energy into this. And fortunately,
Yes,
she
yes.
volunteered to do this. And this is one piece of hopefully a resource for you guys.
Hopefully yes, like I keep saying, somebody has to know something out
Somebody
there.
has to know
And
something.
if we could get at least one case solved, oh my God.
And
It would be
I appreciate
beautiful.
all your help you do for us.
Yes.
Oh,
Everything
Kathy,
you do
that's
for us.
okay.
thank you.
You're
problem.
marvelous. Yeah, I
Yes.
think
No
thank you so
problem.
much.
No
Aw.
problem.
Yeah.
Your work is tireless.
Eh,
It's tireless.
Anthony gives me energy when I'm tired. Come on, get up, Anthony. Get up.
There you go.
Just like he used to tell me when I was drinking. Here was my 18-year-old nephew telling me, "What are you doing? Why are you drinking so much? You're throwing your life away. You're not going to work. You're this, you're that." And I'm like, I'm 30 years old and my 18-year-old nephew's telling me this. And then he got taken from us. So, I had to change my life in honor of him. He
Right.
knew more than I knew at 30 years old.
Right.
So, he's the one that gets me up in the morning. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you guys would like to share before our episode is over? No?
I think we're good.
Much
Okay.
appreciative to both of
Appreciate
you.
the
Oh my
podcast.
goodness,
Appreciate
absolutely.
You guys doing this for us.
Yes, and if you guys are on social media, I will send the link to Kathy, but you guys could share it, reshare it, on anything just because the more that people view it and hear it and see it, the more someone can recollect something or remember anything, correct? Like something will come good out of it.
Right.
That's what our hope is.
And I just want to say, I want to thank you guys for your strength
Absolutely.
and your courage, to fight for your loved one, fight for Danny and fight for David
And don't give up.
and not give up. And to somebody else out there like you is going to, wow, I can do that too. I'm going to speak up and I'm going to,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be his voice,
You have to be his
Absolutely.
until
voice.
someone is found accountable for his.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we'll show pictures at the end of the episode and we'll hopefully have somebody, right?
Yep.
That knows something.
Yep. Yep.
But I want to thank you guys so much because it takes a lot for you guys to come, and relive the story again and the traumatic situation. And gracias, señora, por
De nada,
venir.
de nada.
Muchas gracias. ¿Gustará decir algo?
Acompáñala.
Sí,
No,
she's
no,
so
está
cute.
bien.
She said, "I just came to accompany her."
Yeah.
So cute, huh?
I'm going to share one quick thing.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
You know, back in the 1915, our family came from Texas, from Mexico to Texas. And my auntie Cuati, Mary, or Cuata for twin, and my mom, and my dad's cousin Catalina, they all migrated together with their children. 3 good friends, family, raised their kids together. But who would have known that all 3 of them would lose grandsons to murder?
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Mm.
And they all did. And it's like, all the hopes that they brought from Mexico to Texas and migrating, settling here, raising their kids and then
For somebody
who
to
would
come
have
in.
thought that all 3 of them would have experienced that? And they were so close. I mean, they were always together. And I look at your
And
mom.
my mom's like my rock.
I know. I
Yeah,
look at
she
your
is.
mom and
Yeah.
I know I see my aunt, I
Yeah.
see my mom, I see,
She's so cute.
that that was her grandson and
Yeah.
it's not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to
Right.
happen.
I know.
But
I don't think parents or grandparents should bury their children or grandchildren.
no.
That's
Yeah.
And it's way different. It's way different with a car accident or cancer because
terminal
not
illness.
so, now you have to deal with the justice system. You have to deal with the detectives. If it goes unsolved like this, you have to deal with this. You have the intense anger that you go through because somebody made the decision to do it. It's way different.
Yeah.
Nobody understands it like us
Mhm.
unless
Right.
you've been through it,
Right.
you know?
Mm.
So I want to thank you guys
Thank
for your
you.
courage
you
for
guys.
coming here
Thank you
today.
so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for having
Yeah.
us. Thank you for
Thank
thinking
you.
of my
Yes,
mother and all this time.
absolutely.
I love
And
her.
if you guys need
She's a
anything,
sweetheart.
She
please
is.
reach out.
We will.
Please reach out. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll put up the pictures. There's rewards on both. Please, anyone that knows anything, you are more than welcome to call. You could call Crime Stoppers. You could reach out, leave messages to the Carson Sheriffs
Carson Sheriff's
and
LAPD.
LAPD. Thank you guys very much. We appreciate you viewing. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. You guys have a great one. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you,
It
Lou.
was such a
Thank
pleasure.
you for doing this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll see you on the next one, guys. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.